Korean cinema is pretty, amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of homages to those films in there. And also, I should say, a bit of Indian cinema too, Bollywood. You know, there's an audacity to this film and a colorfulness to it, which also has been infused from my exposure to those kind of films.
What were your formative action films, and like what films made you want to explore this genre?
Formative action films. Okay, so the first one, snuck downstairs, watched this film through the banister, it changed my life. It made me want to be an actor. Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. Just breathtaking to watch him just blistering on screen. And my room, every inch of wall space became Bruce Lee.
What's your style? You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
So that one, and then all of his other films subsequently, you know, there's a bit of Game of Death, you know, working up the pagoda, that kind of vibe. I would say The Raid really changed the genre for me in terms of its relentless pace and just absolute commitment to just action. And Iko and Gareth, the team that made that, just wow. And then Korean cinema on the other side, they, for me, make the best revenge films. You know, anything from Old Boy to Man from Nowhere, I Saw the Devil, A Bittersweet Life. I mean, sorry, that's too many.
No, you're acting, you're directing, you're fighting. How many things are ping-ponging in your brain during all these scenes to maintain focus, intensity, make sure that everyone is hitting their mark, but also that you're hitting yours? How does that work within these massive fight scenes too?
It's hard, like a huge thing about directing is this people management, especially during a pandemic when we made this. We were in this tiny island called Batam in Indonesia, and we had, 500 people in this one bubble. And you can just imagine, people were falling in love, people were getting divorced, people were getting married. It was a whole thing in this island. And at the same time, I had to wake up crazy early to remember the choreo. I didn't want to do too many cuts, so to hold that amount of choreo in your brain while shot listing, working on sets and rehearsing with your fellow actors, it was a very intensive process, but every morning I'd wake up and go, isn't this amazing? Like I'm living a dream, I actually get to make a movie.
Every day, I've prayed for a way to protect the weak.
I was 30 years old at the time or whatever it was when we shot it. It's like, what a dream. And then you look at the rest of your cast and everyone else, and to have a purpose during that very bleak time was beautiful.
It is beautiful. I saw your Q&A at South by Southwest, how people's roles had to change and how everyone stepped up in that trust that you have and also probably grew with everyone's contribution.
My first production designer, because of the pandemic, couldn't fly in. So the kind of local facilitator, this gentleman called Pawas, who's also a wonderful production designer. I was like, Pawas, you got the gig. And he totally just stepped up to the plate and then some. Immediately I knew we weren't capturing the action as viscerally as I was feeling it as an actor. Because I'd been lucky enough to spend all this time with the stunt team early in the mornings, training with them. I was like, there's this guy, Steven, who's shooting the previses on his little Canon camera. And I was like, Steven, do you want to be a DP? And he's like, I would love to one day. And I was like, well, you're gonna be a camera operator on this. And I spoke to Sharon. He loved the idea. And I was like, we're gonna have an actual ninja. We're gonna have a stunt guy that knows every move and can meet me. So it's not gonna be me versus the bad guys. There's gonna be three of us working in tandem. And he gets into the armpit of the action. There's scenes where we don't cut me fighting two men in an elevator. It's a cramped space. So for us to kind of dance through each other, it was a fun challenge.
You and I, we both are kind of lengthy torso tall guys. I actually really like that vantage point of kind of under armpit because you don't really see
you don't
much.
see it.
You said visceral, that's actually how I described the film as well.
Yeah.
There's visceral hand-to-hand combat. It's also kind of like face-to-face. I do want to ask, was your character always a biter, or was that found through the choreography of finding the fights?
I think so. But also now thinking of it subliminally, I think there's a film with Bruce Lee, I forgot what film it is now. He's locked in something with a character and all he has left is his mouth to bite. But I was like, if you're a cornered, caged animal with nothing to lose, what would you do to get out of this scenario? It's life or death. You would bite, you would spit, you would claw your way out of this situation. And real violence is very messy. We were constantly trying to find a way to make the choreo more jagged and less balletic.
We do have to talk about your own spin on kind of like the Rocky training montage and the music that you use for it, which is so amazing.
When I wrote the script, I always wanted to pay homage to those great Rocky Balboa training montages. And immediately I was like, look, India has a relationship with music. And one of our oldest, classical art forms is Indian classical music. And there's this guy, Zakir Hussain, Ustad, they call him, maestro. He's the greatest to have ever touched that instrument. He's one of one. And I begged, and he came out to the island, spent 2 weeks quarantining to play for 3 days. And we did this, what they call in India, a jugalbandi, which is a call and answer. And the concept was me on this dusty rice sack that I've made, and him on this tabla. And he teaches me the kind of rhythm of how to fight without really speaking. So he's talking to me through his instrument so I can tune mine. The crew it was the first time everyone on set, even the troublemakers, came to watch him play. It was very difficult editing because we used the real sound on the day. So to try and match the hits and the punches and keep it rhythmic was very difficult. It took us months and months, maybe even 6 months to really get that sequence down.
Watching the film now, using the building levels as story structure is
Yeah.
amazing, but do you also kind of see that as akin to how getting this movie out, it was like a battle to get it out, and eventually, I don't
Yeah.
know, Jordan Peele's up in the penthouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a revenge film about faith. Faith is defined by the everyman and the guys at the bottom worshipping something so elusive and so untouchable in a way. And for me, you know, when you think of the caste system in India, I was looking at the action genres, you know, starting with Bruce Lee and working his way up, or The Raid or Judge Dredd. It's like, that's the caste system. You can start in this kind of building with the poor slaving away, creating these beautiful dishes for the kings above them. And above the kings should be gods, and then there's heaven. And how can we play with that concept for the film? But yeah, Jordan came in and was an angel. The film got dropped by the studio, and I thought we were going to never see the light of day, and he changed that and brought Universal and all their clout and might with them. So it's cool.